On this channel, I've spent a lot of time talking about different anime and how they all tie into the Christian faith, but what if there was an actual Christian anime? In this video, I want to take some time to talk about Angel Studios' new anime-inspired series, Gabriel and the Guardians, and why it needs to be good. Also, just a brief side note, I have collectively maybe 60 seconds of footage from this show, so I apologize in advance if the B-roll gets repetitive. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is Gabriel and the Guardians? Great question, let me break it down for you. The series follows Gabriel, a celestial guardian who's tasked with retrieving the eternal seed from the nefarious forces who've stolen it, and he embarks on this quest alongside a giant hunter and an alchemist princess as they all try to save the world. This series also has a pretty stacked lineup of cast and crew working on it. I mean, Gabriel himself is voiced by the Johnny Young Bosch, with his co-stars being Matt Lanter, James Arnold Taylor, and Christina V. When I first heard about this project, I was honestly kind of shocked that they got such big names to lend their voices, but then again, I'm also very partial to Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor since they were both in the Clone Wars. Series creator Jason Moody is also no stranger to anime. He's not only been inspired by it in making the series, but is also a fan himself, which I think is really cool. And the animation studio behind this series is Tiger Animation, whose portfolio includes the recent X-Men '97, Netflix's Castlevania, and even Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now that I've given you some context, allow me to share my genuine thoughts on the series as a whole. First off, it's nice to see Christians embrace anime for once and be inspired by it rather than condemn it. Now, I'm not saying that anime has to be your favorite thing in the entire world, but to pretend that there's no artistic inspiration to be pulled from it is just kinda ignorant. And the fact that the creators behind the series enjoy anime themselves gives me a lot of hope that it won't just end up being a soulless cash in on the popular thing type like so many other Western anime projects seem to be. They're putting in the effort to bring in some really talented people to work on this series, and I kinda have high hopes for it just based on the animation studio alone. If you're making an action fantasy anime, then you need to definitely have good animation for said action, and I genuinely believe Tiger Animation will excel in that department. Just based on the footage I've seen and what I've heard them talk about in interviews, it seems like they really understand why anime is popular and why people enjoy it so much. They have a genuine respect for the anime medium, which is what I talked about in my video on how the West is poisoning anime, because I just feel like most Western companies don't respect the medium or understand why it's so popular, they just see money to be made. And they're not trying to replace anime either, which is something I've encountered a lot when it comes to this kind of alternative media. The most egregious example being anytime the Daily Wire puts out some new movie or show, because their only real marketing ploy is that insert thing is anti-woke or anti-Disney, which just makes you feel like you can't enjoy both. I can enjoy classic Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast or Emperor's New Groove while also wanting an alternative to modern Disney movies. And that's the difference I feel with Gabriel and the Guardians. They're not telling me I need to disown My Hero Academia just for the sake of this show, but that I should enjoy it alongside of the ones that I love. They're also giving Christians a platform in a space where we don't really have one and introducing it to an audience who may have otherwise avoided it. One thing I do think this series has going for it is that it's not an anime adaptation of the Bible, but rather using the Bible as an inspirational foundation. And while there are a lot of cool things in the Bible I'd love to see adapted, like the Book of Judges, it's refreshing to not just get another Bible series, you know what I mean? Going this route also gives you a lot more creative freedom than if you were doing a one-to-one adaptation like The Chosen, although I guess that has some creative freedom too. God has given us creative minds, so why don't we use them? There are so many cool things in the Bible that can be added to a fantasy setting, like celestial guardians or a group of fallen angels, and I would honestly put Gabriel and the Guardians in a similar category to The Lord of the Rings or Narnia, these great, high epic fantasy stories that are set in a fantastical universe but aren't overtly Christian. And both of those aforementioned series can be enjoyed by anyone without them feeling alienated while also having that heavy Christian influence and inspiration. Honestly, there's a huge market for that in the anime sphere. Lots of people are just looking for a good show to enjoy, and I think that's exactly what this will end up being. It's also important for Christians to be involved in spaces like this. It's something I talk about and do with this channel, you know, like I said at the beginning, relating anime to the Christian faith, but I can only do so much as one guy. I'm all for Christians just making good creative content. No more of these lame PureFlix altar calls or God's Not Dead 12. And it's taken us a while, but we're finally getting somewhere in that department, and I'm all here for it. Gabriel and the Guardians is a step in the right direction, and Angel Studios actually has a couple more projects like it coming down the pipeline that I'll be interested to see. If you didn't know, this series is almost entirely fan-funded, as most of Angel Studios' projects are, which is honestly a much better way to get things done nowadays. I've personally invested my own money into this project because I feel very passionately about it and what they're trying to do, and as someone who one day hopes to do this very thing, I want to support those going before me in any way that I can. I want this series to be good so that it opens the door for more Christian content creators to use their God-given gifts to the fullest, so that one day someone like me can make an anime-inspired series that's also grounded in Christian morals. And ultimately, I hope this series is able to share the light of Christ with an audience that may have otherwise ignored it, since that's what this is really about. Gabriel and the Guardians is set to release sometime in 2025, and I do plan on covering it more as we know more, because I will gas up this series till the day I die, even if I have to single-handedly carry the Twitter promotion by myself. This series is literally what this channel is all about, blending anime and Jesus together. I also forgot to mention that they're making a manga as well, which I think is cool, and I'll definitely be talking about that at some point in the future. There's definitely a lot more to say about Gabriel and the Guardians, but the information they've put out is just so scant and scattered at this point that I kind of compiled everything that I had into this video and just gave my thoughts. So for now, I'll end it here, and be sure to jump down in the comments and tell me how you're feeling about this series in general. And while you're down there, you can feel free to subscribe and drop a like so that I know you like it when I talk about these more niche video topics. I also want to give a special shout out to John Bass, Trevor, Spectral TV, Amor12321, Zeke Shine, Inferno Lycan, TC Indiana, Wiki Silence, Just JC, Golden Era, and everyone else who's become a member and helped support me this month, since it all goes back into making videos like this. If you're looking for something else to watch, you can check out my video on if Christians should watch Dawn to Dawn, or this other video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like.